Welcome to Track 2, Business Transformation and Value Realization. To meet the objectives, here's what we'll cover. First, we'll describe customer lifecycle management and the CE role in value realization. Then, we'll identify key phases of the customer lifecycle and describe how they contribute to the cycle of transformation and ongoing customer success. Next, we'll explain the activities and the CE role during key CLM phases of onboard, utilize, and optimize. Now, let's get started with this track. Value realization and customer lifecycle management. We just spent time in Track 1 examining the journey that our customers are on towards HR transformation through their investment in SAP SuccessFactors solutions. You should now have a good understanding that in the cloud, value realization for the customer comes from helping them achieve their transformation. We also looked at an overview of customer lifecycle management. It's important to understand as we approach this session that effective customer lifecycle management starts with knowing what transformation the customer is trying to achieve and serving as a trusted advisor to help them achieve that transformation through their investment in SAP SuccessFactors solutions. So, let's take a deeper look at value identification and realization. The CEE value realization model outlines our approach to how we identify, manage, and track value with our customer. Let us begin with value validation and identification. The first step begins in the onboarding phase, where we are focused on value validation and identification. Here, we want to define the value promise that was established during the sales cycle and the select phase, and establish the vision for this transformation. Second, in the utilize or adopt phase, we shift our focus to value tracking and management. We want to begin to measure the customer value progress and adoption. This is also a good time to begin to coach and guide the customer towards their value realization. As the customer begins to utilize and fully adopt the software solution within their organization, they will begin to realize the benefits and see the HR transformation within their organization. It is our job as the CE and trusted advisor to the customer to continue to guide the customer towards the goals that were validated in the onboarding phase to ensure that the customer stays on track to realize the value of their investment. As we move into the optimize phase, we continue our focus on value tracking and management. Again, we want to measure customer value progress and adoption. We should be coaching and guiding the customer towards value realization and begin to reinforce the important role that SAP SuccessFactors solutions are playing in their HR transformation. And finally, as we approach the renew and expand phase, we really want to focus on value measurement and realization. This is our opportunity to demonstrate customer value achievement and how SAP SuccessFactors solutions are helping them achieve their business goals and HR transformation. We previously discussed the highly competitive nature of cloud software, and so, as a CE, we must continually focus on the cycle of value identification, value tracking, and value demonstration. Now that we've talked about the importance of the CE role in helping to deliver value to the customer, let's look more at the proactive CE engagement model to drive the customer readiness and the right activities to drive customer success and the customer's key performance indicators. Customer lifecycle management includes all phases from select all the way to renew and expand. As a CEE, your involvement starts at the onboarding phase. The remainder of this training will address the key deliverables and best practices of the CE role in supporting each of the customer lifecycle management milestones in the onboard, utilize, optimize, and renew and expand as it relates to the SuccessFactors line of business. The chart that we're looking at now provides a high-level view of some of the key deliverables and best practices across those CLM phases. You will notice that some of the key deliverables and best practices that start in the onboarding phase are continued through in the utilize and optimize phases, while some of the activities are unique just to onboarding or just to the optimization phase. Generally speaking, The best practices that we are going to examine are focused on onboarding the customer, introducing them to key resources, and ensuring a successful go-live and establishing initial governance and a cadence of meetings with the right customer stakeholders. As you move into the utilize phase, you will see that we are continuing to build on that cadence of meetings and focusing on ensuring that the customer is effectively rolling out the solution for all of the intended populations. We are continuing to drive effective partnership and engagement through a cadence of meetings and governance. Then, as we move into the optimization phase after the customer is live on their solution, we are looking to ensure that the customer continues to maintain and update their solution. This is achieved through both the adoption of new features and innovations in their releases, as well as updating the solution as their business changes to ensure that it stays aligned with their business processes. As such, you will find that we spend the largest amount of time in this module in the onboarding phase, and then we'll move on to some of the additional best practices in the utilize and optimize phase. We will discuss renew and expand phase as part of module 3. Now, let's dig in and get started. Let's take a look at the onboarding phase. In customer lifecycle management, the onboarding phase includes both customer onboarding and implementation. First, it's important to understand just how important the onboarding phase really is. In fact, a study by McKinsey found that 70% of complex, large-scale transformation or change programs don't actually reach their stated goals. Helping our customers achieve their desired outcomes is the key driver behind our customer onboarding program and the role of the CE as a trusted advisor guiding the customer through this very important phase. Now that we know the onboarding phase is critical to ensuring customer success, transformation, and value realization, let's dig a little bit deeper into the role that the CE plays and why it's so helpful. Earlier, we discussed the importance of proactive engagement versus reactive account management and engagement. Proper proactive CE engagement is critical to the customer's success in this phase. Not only is the customer going live during this phase, but the onboarding phase is crucial in preparing a new customer for their SuccessFactors journey and to getting started on the path for success. The CE plays an integral role in guiding the customer as their trusted advisor towards the right activities that will help them achieve their HR transformation and value realization from their investment in SAP SuccessFactors solutions. Some of the key onboarding activities include a sales handoff and transition meeting, the customer introduction, introducing the customer to key resources, establishing account governance and a proper meeting cadence, beginning engagement planning, internal account planning, introducing the customer to the importance of good internal customer governance of their SAP SuccessFactors solutions, as well as implementation oversight and project governance. As we look at the sales handoff process and account transition, you should be thinking about what do you need to know to start off right with your customer. What pieces of information are going to be important for you to know to add value and function effectively as a trusted advisor to your customer? This is why you should engage the sales team in a formal handoff process to gather all this necessary customer-specific documentation and details. Some of the key items you'll want to review in your internal transition meeting and handoff include the business case and the reason for the purchase. What is the customer's HR strategy and HR objectives? What is the proposed implementation rollout and timeline? Are there any additional upsell opportunities or other deals in progress? And planning for your renewal strategies early. Remember, the sales rep has insight into what went into getting this deal. Take some time to get on the same page so that you can continue that conversation with the customer. The SAP landscape. What are some other SAP products that have already been implemented or purchased? Customer culture and business conditions, risks, and any existing schedules for customer introductions or important meetings with customer stakeholders. So, in summary, why is it absolutely critical to engage with the sales team before you reach out to the customer? Well, engaging with sales for this handoff helps ensure that you are informed about the customer, their expectations, and their requirements. And it also shows synergy or internal alignment and continuity of engagement, which gives confidence to the customer and helps to establish the foundation for a successful partnership. Once you've had your alignment with sales and obtained all the key information you need, it's time to introduce yourself to the customer. It's helpful to start by providing a clear understanding of the CE role and how you will work together with sales, preferred care if purchased, and implementation resources to partner with the customer. You'll also want to review customer business drivers and the business case provided by the sales team during the handoff and align with the customer to ensure that these items are still relevant. It's also important to discuss key performance indicators related to their business goals and how they align to their desired HR transformation. This is a good time to reconfirm the information that you gathered from the sales cycle in order to learn and document what your customer wants to achieve. This includes items like why they selected SAP SuccessFactors and what they expect to accomplish through their implementation and HR transformation. It is critical to the success of the implementation and the long-term relationship to start off right and align on this strategic information early. During customer introductions and onboarding is also a great time to get the customer plugged into the wealth of additional resources that they have access to as an SAP SuccessFactors customer. Resources like the customer community. Make sure they know about the customer community and encourage the customer to plan to log in and use it. And remember, the customer community isn't just for administrators. The SAP SuccessFactors customer community connects customers, partners, and employees within a collaborative environment to help realize our collective goals. There are tools and information that customer decision makers and process owners should access and understand, as well as administrators. Peer Match. Encourage your customers to take advantage of Peer Match, both to join as an expert and to connect with other customers. Road to the Release. The road to the release is essential information for customers to understand how we release new functionality and how to plan for their release adoption. This is also a good time to note that customers who inquire about how they can influence the product roadmap should use the product roadmap enhancement request process in the customer community. And there's many other resources. Beyond the customer community, encourage customers to engage with other customers as well as SuccessFactors, subject matter experts, and thought leaders, and experts within your own organization. Remember that deeply engaged customers are more likely to be satisfied and provide references. At the end of the day, it's important for the customer to understand that there are many resources available to them to help ensure their success. There are also a number of partner internal resources available to you to help you in your engagement with your customers. Remember, the CEs are the voice of the customer within SAP SuccessFactors and within your organization. Take opportunities to share with your customers stories and seek out opportunities for your customer to attend events and engage with other customers to share their stories and hear about successful and innovative things that other customers are doing. Now that you have an idea of the things that you need to plan to talk to your customers about as part of introductions and onboarding, let's take a look at a couple of additional best practices to help deliver this information to your customers and to help get them set up for success. Prior to the customer introduction meeting, plan to create a general and central collaboration space to ensure a continual conversation with your customer. A place like this provides a streamlined approach and a central location to finding information like communication, resources, links, and preparing for their SuccessFactors journey. It also consolidates all of the self-service resources that we encourage our customers to use, things like the customer community, SAP Help, knowledge base, product-specific documentation and training. Use and share this collaboration space during monthly meetings to reinforce the usage of self-service resources. Having a collaboration space like this will give you a central place to store documents, communications, and outputs from workshops and planning sessions. This can be especially helpful as stakeholders change so that important documents are not trapped and lost forever in someone else's email. Cloud readiness workshops are another great engagement best practice. They're optional, but highly recommended. Cloud readiness workshops introduce customers with an on-premise mindset to what life in the cloud is like. If you sense that your customer is not prepared for life in the cloud and how implementing and maintaining their solution are fundamentally different, plan to spend some time engaging additional resources in a workshop with your customers to discuss this important topic. If you're going to host a cloud readiness workshop, it's essential to include the HRIS or IT resources from the customer side in this important workshop. And remember that SAP SuccessFactors multi-tenant environment and the rapid innovation release cycles can be concepts that create apprehension or confusion for those unfamiliar with cloud technology. A cloud readiness workshop is also a great opportunity to introduce the wider audience of stakeholders, sponsors, project team members, and administrative support staff to SAP SuccessFactors, our operational structure, support model, and self-service resources. Engagement planning. The onboarding phase is also the right time to introduce engagement planning with your customers. Remember that the CEE helps set customers up to be successful in their HR transformation. As part of your initial conversations with your customers, begin to introduce them to key onboarding activities and planning that will be essential to achieving their desired outcomes and capture the right additional insight to what success looks like for them. Find out what your customers are doing today in these key areas with other applications and programs within their organization. What works well for them, and where can they focus on improvement? Discussions about these key areas, along with the information gathered from your introduction meetings, have proven to be very important to solution adoption, and laying the groundwork in this first meeting will help set expectations with the customer. Some of the important information you've gathered may include validation of business goals, HR strategies, and challenges and expected outcomes, customers' governance, change management and release management plans, and their internal support structure. Review all this information and use it to begin to document a plan of action with the customer. This plan will form the basis for your engagement plan. There are a number of ways to document this engagement plan with your customers. Let's take a look at one example that you can use with your customers. Here's an example customer roadmap. You'll need to work with the customer to build this out with their specific details as well as items that you want to proactively introduce. Discuss the overall timelines and important items to consider, like releases and how they will impact activities. This is also a valuable tool to help introduce them to concepts such as when to look at compensation or performance management cycles for optimization in advance of cycle kickoffs. Document all key activities like deployments, HR cycles, major feature implementations, and other related customer activities, and keep this up to date as a living document that you review together. The customer may also have an internal version of this that they want to reference. If that's the case, it's important to just make sure the critical proactive items like releases are also documented as part of that for planning purposes. Internal account planning. Up until this point, we focused mostly on conversations and activities that you will drive directly with your customers. However, now that you know your customer and you've confirmed what they are trying to achieve, and have begun engagement planning with your customer to ensure they get off on that right start, you're ready to also begin your internal account planning. The goal of internal account planning, sometimes referred to as engagement planning, is to gather and track important details about the customer so that you can plan appropriately and align with the broader account team on the key actions that you will be driving to ensure customer success, referenceability, retention, and growth of their relationship. Things that you'll want to track and report out on include account details, for example, what products are owned, when they plan to go live with each one of the products, customer business objectives, and the customer's internal governance, internal account governance and relationship map. This is getting the right people on the customer side aligned and talking to the right people on our side, the customer's human capital management cycle plan, including primary cycles for major programs and modules, details of your engagement plan and action plan specific for this customer, as well as upcoming renewals and sales opportunities to align on. Reach out to your SAP SuccessFactors Partner Business Manager for additional recommendations. And remember, the most significant challenges that your customers want to remedy are the building blocks for executing an HR transformation and for your ongoing engagement with that customer. Account governance and meeting cadence. As we indicated earlier, having the right cadence of meetings in place is critical to the long-term success, referenceability, retention, and expansion of their relationship. Let's take a look at why it's important to set up a proactive cadence of meetings, including items like the monthly and quarterly check-ins. Long-term relationships allow you to gain their business insights, and continual conversations can uncover a lot of what customers define as important to them. It also enforces accountability and consistent decision-making, ensures alignment to organizational goals, creates awareness to key stakeholders, and provides a mechanism to track and measure progress throughout the customer journey. Disengaged leaders are more likely to entertain competitors because they have little insight into the value that their full SuccessFactors solutions are adding to their organization. During your scheduled review meetings with customers, keep these topics in the conversation: alignment to business drivers and HR strategy objectives, the customer roadmap timeline, usage and adoption metrics, renewal planning, and any other opportunities around product innovations, optimization events, and areas where they can realize value. And remember, don't wait until the last minute. Value realization can only happen through this sort of regular, proactive customer engagement. So make sure that you take the time to outline to the customer why these meetings are important and set a schedule that makes sense for your customer. Another best practice that you'll want to introduce your customer to is internal governance. We have seen too often that customers are not prepared to effectively manage their SAP SuccessFactors solution through strong internal governance. It's important for the customer to establish this governance structure for all aspects of the customer journey, from implementation projects and evaluating newly released functionality to resource planning and optimization of HR policies and procedures. Two key areas where we commonly see failures due to lack of governance are release management and adoption, as well as leadership engagement and buy-in. SuccessFactors releases product enhancements quarterly. If the customers are not engaged to learn what's available, it can result in them falling behind on product functionality. And if they're not aware of the new features, they are not adopting them, which means, of course, that they're just not realizing the full value of their SuccessFactors purchase and implementation. So as you can see, governance is not a one-and-done activity for you or the customer. Therefore, it's very important to introduce internal governance to your customer. Take time to learn from your customer how they operate today and to facilitate a deeper conversation with your customer using examples and providing best practice guidance. Implementation oversight. It's important to remember while setting up all of this proactive engagement, governance, and cadence of meetings that your customer needs to have a successful go-live. As a CEE, you will play a key role in implementation oversight. Implementation oversight is particularly important for new customers embarking on their first product implementation. Now, when we talk about implementation oversight, we're really talking about monitoring implementation projects and maintaining a clear view into project timelines, milestones, and resources, as well as risks. Keep in mind that CEs do not need to be involved in daily implementation meetings, but they do need to be aware of where customers are in the process, and CEs must enforce adoption and celebrate their go-live milestones to keep customers engaged and excited. Keeping current on the implementation status also allows CEs to monitor any issues and align with the customer and the implementation team on a plan to address any issues and ensure a successful go-live. If there is an issue blocking go-live or adoption, consider what went wrong and how can we realign to ensure that the customer does realize the value by adopting and using what they've purchased. Some key objectives and activities during implementation oversight include ensuring that the project stays on track, mitigating risks, and engaging additional resources as necessary. Assisting in preparing a customer for the successful go-live, maintaining alignment with customer business goals, and monitoring and assisting with post-go-live adoption preparation, ensuring that the customer is ready and able to manage their solution effectively. Now, given that we are talking about implementation oversight, let's take a moment to look at implementation project governance. And remember that project governance is largely driven by the customer and the implementation team. This includes how customers are making key decisions about their implementation, as well as the appropriate cadence of project meetings, including steering committee meetings. However, it's important that CEEs participate in regularly scheduled meetings in order to maintain an effective implementation oversight. Participation in the steering committee is required. This meeting provides regular engagement with your customer's senior leaders, opportunities to showcase SAP SuccessFactors' commitment to their success, and an understanding of the alignment with their organizational objectives. This meeting will also be a venue to discuss risk mitigation and raise concerns if best practice recommendations are not being followed. As we come to the end of reviewing the onboarding phase, let's look at change management and training. And remember that it takes more than just going live to be successful. The most successful projects incorporate a change management plan that resonates with the organizational culture. Committed project champions have proven to be a strong determining factor in end-user adoption. While the customer is responsible for the overall change management plan, CEs can and should discuss best practices around defining a change management strategy to support the customer's HR journey. Encourage the customers to explore the customer community and all of the content and services available to them, and ensure that they are planning to get all of the appropriate resources engaged with the right training, both initial training as well as ongoing training in the SAP SuccessFactors solution. Utilize. Now let us examine the utilize phase, which also has a strong emphasis on adoption. Remember, the journey does not end once the customer is live. In fact, in many ways, the journey is just beginning. Release management and governance. When the customer has successfully launched their solution and achieved a stable environment, the focus of this CE shifts to adoption, value realization, and the road to referenceability and renewal. Let us first look at release management and ongoing governance. Effective solution utilization and adoption begins with having effective release management and governance. Therefore, it's important that the customer has a release adoption strategy. As a trusted advisor, it is the job of the CE to ensure that the customer defines their strategy and a plan to document the release changes that they are interested in exploring. Consult with your customer to ensure that they are putting together appropriate test plans to actually consume releases. Closely engage with the customer's governing body on quarterly release management strategy. Encourage your customers to, number one, test releases in their preview instance so they can plan to take advantage of the new functionality. Number two, take advantage of the quarterly release webinars that are hosted by product management, as well as the release documentation and the many other useful release tools. Your regularly scheduled monthly and quarterly governance meetings provide a great opportunity to talk about releases, including what functionality is available and how they can tie that into their overall business goals, as well as to look for upsell opportunities and adoption of new features and functionality. This is also a good time to discuss with them just how important it is to stay on top of the releases so that they can continue to drive ongoing adoption of the solution within their organization and ultimately realize the value of their investment. Some key areas to discuss as part of ongoing release management and governance include communicating product direction, reviewing release highlights, and encouraging the use of the instance test refreshes. Let's take a look at each one of these. Communicating product direction. The CEs are not product experts, but understanding and communicating the direction that our products will take and the key release highlights are essential in helping to guide customers into making adoption decisions. Download the customer-facing roadmap information and review key product direction areas of interest with your key stakeholders. Release highlights. Always review the quarterly release highlights documents on the customer community and the quarterly release highlights videos on channels such as YouTube, and share these highlights with your customers. Instance refreshes. Instance refreshes are a common need for all customers. This allows your customer to properly test with an environment that mirrors their production data. Take the opportunity to discuss this with your customer and encourage them to utilize the best practices for testing post-refresh. Okay, so now your customer is live and focused on utilizing the product for the desired population. Now let's review solution adoption. It is important to jointly review progress towards successful adoption of the SAP SuccessFactors products on an ongoing basis. If your customers are not fully adopting the products, or there are barriers to adoption in certain pockets of the organization, these will ultimately present risks to both the renewal as well as the growth of the relationship. Let's review some solution adoption best practices and solution adoption governance tips that you can provide your customer. Discuss product utilization and feedback with your customer. Keep in mind that while usage data can provide insight into the level of adoption, the real story comes from the customer and their insight into adoption within their organization. Engage with your customer in a deeper discussion to understand their cycles, identify risk areas, and provide guidance in order to deepen adoption throughout their organization. Some of the questions you might want to ask include: is the customer using the product in the way they initially wanted? Are they delivering to the target audience that they initially identified? Are they using all the functions and features of what they've adopted and purchased? And if not, what exactly are the roadblocks, and how can we partner together to ensure that they are successful? It's also important to discuss end-user feedback at this time and trends in customer help desk tickets to identify key areas of process improvement. In the first year post-go live, there's many opportunities to streamline and tweak their internal processes for a more satisfying end-user experience. Now that your customer is live, it's a great time to continue to reinforce the tools that are available to them and to encourage them to continue to be a part of the conversation. Things like accessing the customer community, engaging with other customers and SuccessFactors subject matter experts, taking advantage of peer match, as well as reviewing the road to the release. Your role as a CE is to ensure that your customers are engaged, so take the time to establish the relationship with your customer and share your customer story. And remember, continue to regularly review and expand the customer engagement plan with your customer so that it's fresh, up to date, and fully aligned with where the customer is heading with their SuccessFactors solution. Another thing that's important to watch out for along the way is a change in leadership with your customer. In fact, it's quite common for customers to undergo changes in their staffing, including leadership, during their SuccessFactors journey. This can be stress-inducing, particularly with leadership who want to make their mark in the new organization or maybe even have an existing relationship with a competitor. Whenever you have a change in leadership with your customer, it is a great opportunity to establish yourself as a trusted partner to the new individual. Take this opportunity to review the business case and the success so far against existing initiatives and objectives to show value realization. Work with the customer team to walk the new leader through their system. Provide recorded demos, solution overviews, and provide YouTube and white papers with great customer stories. Discuss the customer roadmap. What is planned with SuccessFactors over the next 12 to 18 months already? And follow the onboarding steps that you went through with the new leader to introduce them to the SuccessFactors and all the available resources. Another good tip is to identify a reference customer to speak with the new leader so that they can see what other customers are achieving with SuccessFactors solutions. And identify an upcoming event and encourage them to attend. The objective is to approach this change in leadership head-on. Quickly engage the new leader to ensure that SuccessFactors is identified as valuable and beneficial to the organization's success. Keep in mind that it's very easy for new leaders looking to make their mark to identify technology as a roadblock. With that in mind, Make sure that you are taking the opportunity to quickly get in front of them and partnering with them to address anything that they perceive as a potential roadblock. And remember that their success is your success. Let's now move on to the optimize phase and revisit the concept of value realization. Optimize phase: value realization and HR transformation. As organizations grow and change, their technology solutions should also continue to evolve. Optimization may include new products, additional functionality, streamlining processes, or modification to their overall HCM strategy. As part of the ongoing engagement planning activities, the CEs should have documented the value drivers and key performance indicators with the customer. As we previously discussed, often this information is available from the pre-sales cycle. However, it's important to revisit this to capture any changes or updates. Using tracking mechanisms, such as the quarterly check-in tracker, is a useful way to show achievement towards these objectives and quarterly trends. In addition, documenting a 12 to 18-month plan of program initiatives, rollout timelines, cycle planning milestones, and budgeting cycles is helpful in maintaining alignment and understanding how SAP SuccessFactors can support their journey. This also provides insights into cross-sell and upsell opportunities. Revisit this tracker, this customer plan, during your ongoing governance meetings. Solution adoption and optimization. Along with measuring success against established KPIs, CEs work with customers to identify opportunities to increase the overall health and deepen adoption of their SAP SuccessFactors solutions. This may include engagements to resell the value of shelfware, sharing of valuable information and details focused on new functionality or processes, or engaging additional services to optimize the product solutions. While there may be cost-free opportunities available to our customers, it's also important to establish very early that the customers should expect to engage with consultants to optimize their solutions on an ongoing basis. What they chose to implement at the time of purchase may not serve their organizational needs effectively 3 years into their journey. Establishing this expectation early will set you up for greater success and remove surprises for the customer. And of course, let's not forget, continue to review and update the customer engagement plan that you developed to ensure that we are effectively partnering and planning for the future. Now let's take a minute to discuss referenceability. Gaining customer references is one of the customer engagement team's key objectives. From the very first conversation with your customer, this should be made clear. If we are effectively partnering with our customers to the point that they agree to be references, they are more likely to continue their relationship with SuccessFactors and to look to expand their relationship. Let's take a look at ways that we can invite and engage our customers to be references. One way is to invite customers to present at an event or a workshop. Another great way is to ask customers to chat with another prospect as a trusted reference. Another approach is to engage the customers to give back in some way for the successful and valuable implementation. Ultimately, there are many ways that the customers can participate as a reference depending on their comfort level. The important thing is to know your customer and engage them in the right opportunity to be involved as a reference. Let's review the result of all this proactive engagement in each one of these phases. The bottom line is that proactive customer engagement drives results. If we are maintaining the proper proactive engagement with our customers, we will create and maintain healthy customers that have good internal governance and adoption of SAP SuccessFactors solutions with proper ongoing optimization. This in turn improves our key KPIs because healthy customers become references, renew their subscriptions, and expand their relationships as their business needs change and SAP SuccessFactors provides solutions that can meet their needs. These reference, retention, and expansion opportunities are key to a healthy cloud and services business and key to a healthy partner ecosystem and business that provides opportunities for us all. Now that you have completed this track, you should be able to describe customer lifecycle management and the CE role in value realization, identify key phases of the customer lifecycle and describe how they contribute to the cycle of transformation and ongoing customer success, and explain the activities and the CE role during key CLM phases of onboard, utilize, and optimize. This concludes our Track 2 session, Business Transformation and Value Realization. Please continue to Track 3, Optimizing Value, Renewal, and Upsell, to examine the final phase in Customer Lifecycle Management.